The train arrived at Harlan Creek on a cold Tuesday morning in October. A 34-year-old widow stepped onto the muddy platform carrying a worn carpet bag and a letter from a matrimonial bureau. She had traveled far to meet a 44-year-old widowed rancher who had 7 children and needed a wife. Her heart was nervous, but her face remained calm. She had lost her husband years earlier and had survived difficult times alone. When the tall rancher finally approached, he studied her carefully. She understood immediately that this man had doubts about her, but she refused to let his silence weaken her. The journey to the ranch took nearly 40 minutes. The land stretched wide beneath the golden autumn sky with distant mountains covered in the season's first snow. When she finally saw the large wooden house, she also saw the problems surrounding it. The garden had been neglected, clothing needed mending, and children were working far beyond their years. The eldest daughter, 16 years old, watched the newcomer with cold suspicion. She had been caring for her brothers and sisters since their mother died. To her, another woman entering the house was not a blessing. It was simply another person who might eventually leave. Inside the kitchen, the woman from town who had helped care for the family also greeted her without warmth. She made it clear that the previous wife had organized everything carefully and that her system should be respected. The new arrival simply listened. She had learned long ago that arguments rarely built trust. That evening, she quietly observed the family during supper. The food was poor, the children looked tired, and the youngest, little girl fell asleep at the table. Without saying anything, she gently moved the bread from the child's hand. Across the table, the rancher noticed the small act of care and watched her silently. Before sunrise the following morning, she entered the cold, dark kitchen and began working. She lit the stove, cleaned the old cast-iron pan, prepared biscuit dough, and revived a nearly forgotten sourdough starter. Soon, the smell of fresh bread and warm food filled the house. One by one, the children came downstairs, drawn by the unfamiliar scent. The youngest child stood beside her and watched every movement. Soon, the table was filled with warm biscuits, eggs, gravy, and sweet cornmeal. The children ate quietly but eagerly. When the rancher entered from the barn, he stopped in the doorway, seeing something his home had not experienced for a very long time. Later that day, the town housekeeper returned and immediately noticed that the kitchen had changed. She complained about her system, while the new woman calmly explained that she was only trying to restore what had been neglected. Meanwhile, the eldest daughter continued warning her younger siblings not to become attached. Yet the newcomer did not respond with anger. She understood the family's fear of losing another person they depended on. That night, however, everything changed when a 12-year-old boy knocked urgently on her bedroom door. His younger brother was dangerously sick with fever, and, without hesitation, she rose from her bed and followed him. She hurried into the boy's room and placed her hand gently on the 6-year-old child's burning forehead. The fever was dangerously high, and fear filled the older boy's eyes. She immediately asked for cool water, clean cloths, and anything useful from the kitchen. The rancher soon appeared in the doorway, his face tense with memories of losing his wife to fever years before. She remained calm and focused. Throughout the night, she cooled the child's forehead, gave him small amounts of warm herbal tea, and spoke softly to keep him comforted. The rancher sat nearby, watching the woman work with remarkable patience. Hours passed slowly in the dim lamplight. The older brother eventually fell asleep nearby, exhausted from worry. The woman continued caring for the sick child, never leaving his side. The rancher finally asked where she had learned so much about treating illness. She quietly explained that her mother had taught her because doctors were often far away where she grew up. As the child's breathing slowly improved, the rancher confessed that his late wife had died from fever. She understood immediately why he was so frightened. Instead of offering empty sympathy, She simply continued her work and promised that they would keep fighting through the night. Near dawn, the fever finally broke. The child's burning skin cooled. His breathing became peaceful, and his exhausted body relaxed into genuine sleep. Relief filled the room. She changed the damp cloth, covered him carefully, and told the rancher that the boy would need rest and light food when he woke. In the kitchen, the eldest daughter appeared quietly, frightened and uncertain. She asked whether her brother would truly recover. The woman assured her that he was improving. For the first time, the girl looked at her without suspicion. She realized this stranger had spent the entire night protecting her little brother. By morning, the entire household knew what had happened. The children gathered around the breakfast table, watching their brother eat a small bowl of soft food. The youngest child proudly announced that the new woman had made him better. The 12-year-old boy offered her a quiet nod of gratitude. Even the town housekeeper arrived and immediately noticed that the family had changed. The children sat closer to the woman, and the rancher watched her with new respect. Later, the eldest daughter found her, repairing clothes, and admitted that she had been unfair. The woman smiled gently and understood why the girl had been afraid. That evening, the rancher found her working alone in the cold garden before winter arrived. For several days, he had questioned whether their unusual arrangement could ever truly become a family. But now he looked at the woman who had fed his children, cared for his sick son, and quietly repaired everything without asking for praise. All the prepared speeches disappeared. He simply asked her to stay. She looked toward the house, where 7 children waited, and understood that she was already becoming part of their lives. She answered that she was already staying. At last, she had found the home she had been searching for,